I'm going to show you how you can make your DJ setup look more professional, even when you're on a budget. Clients and planners care a lot about looks. It's probably one of the most important things they look for when it comes to booking a DJ. Of course they care if you can mix or not, but DJs that have clean setups are always going to be preferred over ones that have a setup that looks like shit. So this is our DJ booth that we're working with today. Pretty standard looking setup for someone that might have just started DJing, and we have a budget of $200 to make this setup look more appealing to clients. The first thing that we're going to do is make sure that our booth is symmetrical. This is probably the easiest fix you can do, and it costs you absolutely nothing. You just got to spend an extra few minutes with your setup and be a little more intentional with your gear. Now let's say you're in a giant ballroom, and this corner right here is center to the room. We're going to make sure that our entire booth is center to that. So what I usually do is when I keep an eye on this center spot, I just kind of move my table around, just shift it around to make sure that our table is nice and center to that. Take a couple of steps back like this, and I'll just kind of eyeball that line right there and make sure that we're nice and center. Now that we're done with that, you just take a look at your speakers as well, and you can kind of see one is a little closer to the booth than the other one. We're going to want to make those symmetrical as well. And this is much easier to do when you don't have your speakers already set up. So I broke them down real quick. So basically what I do is I grab my speaker stands, open them up, and find a good width of how big I want to make them. So you don't want to make them too thin like this, too skinny, because it's super easy for them to topple over. And you don't want to make them too fat either, because it just kind of looks weird. So a good happy medium where it can be nice and sturdy, but not too wide. So I set it how I want it to be, right? This one's good to go. Then I just grab my other one, pop them open, put it real close up to the other one, and make sure that the legs are touching so I know that they're spread the same distance apart. Once you got that done, you just grab your speaker stands and put them where they need to be. I usually try and keep them a little closer to the table, maybe a couple of inches away from it, just so you have a little bit of extra space on each side. And then same rules apply. I kind of take a step back, I eyeball it and see if they're around the same distance apart. And if that looks good, we'll throw on our speakers. All right, so now that we got our speakers up, we're going to want to raise them up because not everyone's going to be as short as me. A lot of people are way taller. You want the sound to go over people's heads. So we're going to lift these up a really good amount. Probably not too crazy. I usually go a little above my head, and that's usually a good distance. Some people want them higher. We're going to put them higher just in case. And then we're going to want to make sure that both the speakers are at the same height as well. So we're going to raise this one. And sometimes it can be kind of hard to match them. So same rules apply as last time. I take a step back, I take a look. Looks like this one is higher than that one. So we're going to raise this one up just a little more. Damn, now this side's too high. All right, I think that's as close as we're going to get it. I'd say that's close enough. So looks good on the speakers. All right, our setup is looking good, but there's still more that we can do to clean this up. But I just can't put my finger on it. Right, get yourself some lights because the guests can't see your shitty setup if they're being blinded by lights. I'm just kidding, don't use these things. Sure, you might like them, but from a professional standpoint, they look terrible. And photographers hate these things because it puts little red and green dots all over the guests' faces when they take the photos. And if you use something like lasers at people's weddings, sometimes they're strong enough to destroy a photographer's camera, and you do not want that. So just take this and throw it in the trash. That didn't sound good. But what we are going to do is clean up these cables because the last thing you want is to look like DJ Spaghetti and just have noodles hanging around your booth. So you're going to want to get yourself some gaff tape. Thanks. So gaff tape can be pretty expensive. It's like 20 bucks a roll, but it's important that you use gaff tape and not duct tape because duct tape can leave sticky residue all over your gear, all over the venue, and gaff tape doesn't do that. So what we're going to do is tape down the cables on the ground and clean up the cables coming from the speaker. And a quick tip before we start taping down, you want to make sure that the color tape that you have is the same color as the majority of your speakers. So if you got black speakers, black poles, black table, get yourself black tape. So we got our main power cable coming from the booth all the way down to our outlet. So I'm just going to make this go straight towards the wall and then make it go all the way down the wall to make it look clean. And you want to base the amount of tape that you use based on how much foot traffic is going to be in that spot. So if this is just going to be a spot where you're going to be DJing and not a lot of people are going to be there, then just use a couple of tacks just like this. I usually do one here and one all the way at the end, just like that. And then maybe a couple more in the middle. So I usually try and make my tape about between 6 inches and a foot apart. and that should really kind of make it to where this cable stays in its spot. Now let's say this is a high foot traffic area, maybe not behind the booth, but maybe the outlet is going past a walkway, or catering team kind of walks through there a lot. So what I usually do is I'll tack it down just like this, and then you get super long piece and kind of line up the cable just like that. And then we'll do the other side as well. Boom, boom. That's what I usually do when it comes to taping an area where it's a lot of foot traffic. Now we got the rest of this cable going over to our outlet, and what I like to do is, since we're right on the wall, you just use the wall as your way of kind of cleaning it up a little bit. So literally putting it right on the crevices just like this, and if you want to keep it in place, maybe just a small piece of tape right at the corner. Get yourself a small piece just like this, pull it nice and tight, put it right there on the wall, and that'll keep it in place. Now, when it comes to the speakers, you can use gaff tape to tidy these up, or you can get these little clips and save yourself some money. I got 10 of these clips off Amazon like 3 years ago, and they've probably saved me hundreds of dollars worth of gaff tape over the years. I'll put the link in the description if you guys want to check them out. So I just grab my clips. It just clips right onto the pole just like this, and you got a little extra little knob over here where you can tuck in your cables. And I usually end up using about 3 or 4 of these for each of my speakers. So we'll just put another one down here, clamp this one on, and boom, now you can barely see the cables. All right, our cables are looking good to the point where you barely know they're there, and that's exactly what we want. Now let's take a look at our booth and see what else we can work on to make it look better. So we got a few things that might be an eyesore. We got a bunch of random stuff on the table. We got some bags hanging out on the side of the booth, and we got a sticker bombed laptop front and center. Basically anything that doesn't help you do your job as a DJ shouldn't be there. So you could take these bags and put them in the storage room with the rest of your cases and bags, or you could just take these and throw them under the table. And that's what I'm gonna do. Makes it super easy to where if there's something I need in my bag, I could just grab it real quick. And we're gonna clean up all this garbage that we have. We got a bunch of pens and papers and our gaff tape from earlier. We're gonna pack all of this up and get it out of sight. And if some of the stuff you might need later, like this gaff tape or even this Dr. Pepper can, you got so much space under your feet, you could put it right under the table or even right behind you. You just gotta make sure it's out of sight, unless you're sponsored by Dr. Pepper or something like that. Wow, look how much cleaner this booth looks, except for that sticker bombed laptop. It just doesn't match the aesthetic, so we're just gonna put this under the table too. All right, you can't do that, but this laptop skin definitely sticks out like a sore thumb. It doesn't match the rest of the setup. Sure, it looks cool and you might like it, but if you're front and center on the dance floor during the bride and groom's first dance, they're not gonna wanna see Mike Wazowski in the background of their photos. So we're gonna swap these laptops out with something a little more clean. Now, I've seen a lot of DJs put their logo on their laptop, but to be honest with you, I think it kinda looks tacky as well. Kind of reminds me of when DJs put giant banners of their DJ business on the table at people's weddings. It just looks bad in my opinion, but do what you want. Let me know what you think in the comments. But for me, if my laptop is visible, I just make it nice and clean, just like this. Now you can go through all that work to clean up all the random gear around your booth, or you can just get a Facade. This one is the Pro X DJ Facade, but there are tons of them out there, all at different price points. And I'll put links in the description for a couple different options for you. What's great about this one is that it packs up super nicely in this bag, so it's super easy to transport. So when you're setting up for your event, you clean up your setup as best you can, and when you're almost finished, grab your Facade, put it up in front, and make it look extra clean. And boom, now you got a clean looking setup. Now, like I said before, if you got black speakers, get yourself a black Facade. I don't know, I just feel like your setup looks a lot cleaner if everything is the same color. Now, if you went with the Facade, I would still make sure that the back of your booth is still presentable, because sometimes you're gonna have planners come back here, you're gonna have guests coming in for song requests, and if it looks like shit back here, it's just not gonna make you look good. So still, I would make sure everything looks presentable. It's fine if you have like a little snack or you got your drink off to the side or something like that, but just don't make it look ugly. All right, so now that we've made our setup look super clean, there's still one more thing that we gotta do. You gotta dress the part. We just spent all this time and effort making your setup look clean, but if you show up to the wedding in jeans and a t-shirt, it instantly kills that professional look. You're the final piece of the puzzle. You're the reason why all of this equipment is here in the first place. So if you're DJing a wedding, make sure you look like that you belong at the wedding. We just spent a little bit of time cleaning up our DJ booth, and we went from this to this. If your setup looks professional, people will take you more seriously, and really, what it comes down to is caring about the details. Couples will notice, and planners will definitely notice. You could be the best DJ in the world, but if your booth looks like a mess, you're not getting called back for another gig. So stop looking like a DJ fresh off Facebook Marketplace, and start looking like someone who belongs at the wedding. It doesn't take much, just a little bit of effort. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and make sure you guys like this video and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one.